History is the most feared part of the life in UK test. So many dates, so many events, and honestly, it feels impossible to remember everything. But what if I tell you, you don't need to memorize everything, you just need a clear timeline plus key events. So in this video, I will simplify the entire UK history so that you can answer 90% of the exam questions easily. So welcome back to day 2 of the Life in the UK series. In day 1, we covered the foundation topics. Today we are covering history timeline, important people, sports personalities, art, culture, and key facts, everything explained in a simple and structured way. So, history, it's starting with ancient period. Let's start from the beginning, ancient Britain. So, 55 BC, Julius Caesar tried to invade Britain but failed. AD 43, Romans came back under Emperor Claudius, and this time they were successful. They ruled Britain for 400 years. Then 410 AD, Romans left Britain. This created instability, and new groups started coming in. Then starts the medieval period, and this is the one of the most important sections for the exam. It started with 1066 with Battle of Hastings. It ends with 1485 Battle of Bosworth, and which gives the Henry VII, who became the first monarch of House of Tudor. So in 1066, Battle of Hastings happened. William the Conqueror became the King of England. So, and that is the last successful foreign invasion. It can come in the exam. 1215, that is Magna Carta, which is signed by King John to reduce the power of the king. That is the first step towards democracy. 1348, Black Death killed nearly one third of the population due to plague. 1415, which is Battle of Agincourt or Agincourt, England defeated France. And this is also called 100 years of war with France, which actually happened for 116 years. And the name is Battle of Agincourt. So two names you need to remember for this 1415. 1455 to 1485. This is Wars of Roses, fight between the two houses, House of York versus House of Lancaster. Finally, there was a treaty kind of thing, and the final symbol for these roses of war becomes the red rose, and inside that there is a white symbol. So in 1485, that followed by a battle of Bosworth, where King Henry VII became the first monarch of House of Tudor. And that ended the medieval or the Middle Ages of UK history. And this is very important transition period, which gives us the early modern period. It started with 1534, where Henry VIII created the Church of England, and the main purpose was to divorce his first wife, Catherine, because the previously Roman churches were there in England, and it was not allowing Henry VIII to divorce his wife. So that's the reason he created Church of England in 1534, which gives which gives his option to break away from the Pope. In 1560, same thing happened in Scotland. Scotland abolished the authority of Pope. In 1588, which I covered also a little bit in day 1 for Elizabeth I, the Spanish Armada happened. So where England defeated Spain, and that time monarch was Elizabeth I. 1605, this is the time that gunpowder plot happened, where Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the entire parliament, but he failed, and we all celebrate in UK as a bonfire day on 5th November. And the thing is, it's a gunpowder plot, and Guy Fawkes failed it to blow up the parliament. You need to remember this part. 1642 to 51. So there was a time for these 11 years. it was not 11. It started actually with 1642 and it lasted till 1653. But this English Civil War time, they covered for 1642 to 1651, where the main purpose was that Charles I does not want any parliament. So there was a fight between the King Charles I and parliament. Finally, it ended with King Charles was executed, and Britain actually was republic for 11 years in this time period. 1679 is very important for Habeas Corpus Act, that you must present the court in person. You must be present in the court in person so that you can have your say. Before that, there was no such kind of act in UK. 1688 is Glorious Revolution. It is the start of constitutional monarchy. So in this time period, William of Orange and Mary I from Scotland, they came to UK to start their reign. They were invited by the parliament. 1689 Bill of Rights, which is the same you learned for Magna Carta in 1215, for reduces the power of king. That came as an act in 1689, Bill of Rights, which is the rights of parliament and the limits of the king's power. 1690, that is Battle of Boyne. Like I mentioned, in 1688, this glorious revolution where William of Orange came without any fight. He became the uh, monarch in UK. In 1690, Battle of Boyne happened between William of Orange, because previously James II was there, but he cannot become the monarch, so he tried to fight with William of Orange. That is the Battle of Boyne in 1690. So that ended this early modern Britain. Then comes the industrial or modern period, which we are currently in. So in 1707, Act of Union happened between England and Scotland. They became together. In 1801, close to 100 years after, Act of Union happened with Ireland. In 1805, Battle of Trafalgar happened, where English fought with French and they defeated them. But unfortunately, Admiral Nelson died after the win. 1815, that is very important for the exam, Battle of Waterloo happened. That is the last battle between the British and French, where uh, Emperor Napoleon versus Duke of Wellington, they fought, and Emperor Napoleon uh, lost in this battle. That is the Battle of Waterloo. You need to remember for the exam. 1833, Emancipation Act. This is the end of slavery in British Empire. You need to remember another person which I will cover, and it came into my exam, so I will cover it. In 1833, there was a very important member of parliament who actually fought it for that. And you need to remember, this is the end of slavery in British Empire, this Emancipation Act in 1833. Boer's War. Boer Wars, that is 1899 to 1902, that happened in South Africa with the settlers from Netherlands. So British took all those settlers from Netherlands and they fought these wars in South Africa. This is a very common question in exam. After that, we all know this World War One happened between in 1914 to 1918, and that ended on 11th of November at 11 a.m. on 1918. You need to remember this 1914 to 1918, First World War. 1922, Ireland exit from UK. They actually started this process before that, but due to World War, it got delayed. Finally, they left from UK in 1922. Only one of the part is Northern Ireland. they wanted to stay Protestant, and they became the part of UK. And most of the Ireland part, they moved to European region. 1930, Great Depression, most impacted industries shipbuilding. 1939 to 1945, the Second World War happened, which includes the D-Day, which includes the major battles. And for Britain, Winston Churchill was there. We'll cover those key persons in further slides. Just remember this time period. It should give a picture in your brain so that you can able to answer any questions from this in the exam. 1948, this NHS has created, where this free healthcare system which we are currently experiencing, that happened in UK. 1973, UK joined European Union, but in 2016, British gave vote for Brexit referendum, and finally, UK leaves European Union in 31st, excuse me, 31st January at 23 GMT. Now let's look at important people. Don't memorize everything, just their contribution. Boudica is a tribal leader who fought against the Romans. William the Conqueror, he was the most famous person in UK, that this 1066 Battle of Hastings happened and he became the conqueror. He actually built this Tower of London. King John, he signed the Magna Carta in 1215. Florence Nightingale, she is the founder of this modern nursing. And it started in Crimean War during the Victoria period, where Queen Victoria was there. William Wilberforce, he is the prime minister which I was referring in the previous slide. He actually was the member of parliament. He ended this Slavery Act in 1807, which finally got passed in Emancipation Act in 1833. Emmeline Pankhurst, she was the lead of women suffrage movement, and it used to come in each exam nowadays. And she was the leader which started the belief that women can also vote, and they have the equal rights like men. So Emmeline Pankhurst is a very famous character in UK. In 1918, women first got the chance to give vote in UK, but that time the age was 30 years only. When they became 30, they can only vote. And it was after the First World War, British people realized that that women can also contribute. So 1918, they got the first chance to vote when they are become 30. In 1928, they got the in UK it passed that women and men can vote when they are 21 years old. And this recent thing that when like we are experiencing that whenever we become 18 we have the rights to give vote, that happens in 1969. But in all of these things, who led these women suffrage movements is Emmeline Pankhurst. Alexander Fleming, now come to science. Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin. Alan Turing, who discovered Turing machine. George Stephenson and his son, both locomotive and railway lines, it was their brainchild. Isambard Kingdom Brunel, he is very famous for engineering revolution, railways, and bridges. Francis Crick, structure of DNA molecule, he discovered. Ernest Rutherford, he is the first person to split the atom and took part in Manhattan Project. And he is the father figure in this atom bomb or nuclear weapon, which was later implanted in or used in 1945, the Second World War II by USA to Japan. James Watt improved steam engine. Sir Robert Watson Watt, radar, he invented radar. John Logie Baird, he invented television or TV. Tim Berners-Lee, he invented the World Wide Web, WWW. Frank Whittle, jet engine, he invented jet engine. Keith Campbell and Ian Wilmot, they are the father figure in cloning. They invented the first clone mammal, that is Dolly the sheep. You only need one line impact for each, you need to remember. So just one line from each of these people, they can come in the exam. Now sports, very easy marks, just remember their achievements. Bannister, he is the first person, he ran 4 minute a mile. 4 minute mile he ran. Bobby Moore in 1966 World Cup for football, he was the captain. Steve Redgrave, he has 5 Olympic gold medals in rowing. Mo Farah, she's an Olympic champion. And before that, Baroness Tanny Gray Thompson and Ellie Simons, they owned 16 Paralympic medals. Baroness Tanny Gray Thompson owned 16 Paralympic medals, including 11 gold medals in athletics. And Ellie Simons owned a gold medal for swimming in 2018 and 2012 Paralympic Games consecutively. You might get a question for these Paralympic medals. These two characters or these two persons are very important. Gray Thompson and Ellie Simons. Mo Farah Olympic gold medal, I told that in the 10,000 meter run. Dame Kelly Holmes won 2 gold medals for running in the 2004 Olympic Games. Jane Torville and Christopher Dean, this question came to my exam, won gold medals for ice dancing at the Olympic. Andy Murray, he's a very famous tennis player we all know. He's actually born in Scotland and he won US Open and Wimbledon. Mary Peters, she won 1971 Olympic pentathlon gold and she got a prize that is Dame of British Empire in 2000. Now move to art, films and literature. So William Shakespeare, who was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, it can come in your exam, and he is very famous for Macbeth, Midsummer's Night Dream, that drama, Hamlet, etc. Scottish poet Robert Burns, he is also called as the Bird. He is the writer of Auld Lang Syne, globally associated with New Year celebration. In Scotland, we used to call Hogmanay. So, and people used to sing this song. There is a Canterbury Tales. There is a very famous literature. It's a collection of poems while a group of people going to Canterbury on a pilgrimage. Films. Charlie Chaplin played the character of Tramp in all those silent movies. 2 highest grossing film franchises in UK, Harry Potter, which is written by J.K. Rowling, and James Bond, written by Ian Fleming. So these are the 2 highest grossing film franchises. Apart from that, which appears in the exam, that Lord of the Rings. So J.R.R. Tolkien wrote this Lord of the Rings. Nick Park won 4 Oscars for animated movie, 3 Oscars for Wallace and Gromit, which is an animated movie. There are very famous few arts and galleries in art galleries in UK. One is Crystal Palace, which is in Hyde Park, London, and established in 1851 to host the Great Exhibition. It's made of steel and glass. Cliff, he's very famous for ceramics. And London Galleries, Tate Modern, it's for contemporary art from 1900 arts, and Tate Britain, British art from 1500. So remember, uh, Tate Modern, it's famous for contemporary art, and only arts from 1900 are only displayed there. Tudor Award is for contemporary art. It's the name came from the Joseph, very famous painter Joseph Tudor. And Booker Prize, You can see from the name, it's for the literature. There are two environment charities. This also come in your exam, came to me also. The National Trust, its main objective is to preserve important buildings, coastline and countryside in the UK. And there is another charity, Friends of the Earth. It is mainly for the environmental charity. Apart from all these things, whatever we discuss, this is all about the UK history, arts, culture. All things I covered already, but there are few points or extra facts I just want to tell it to you. This is a quick facts and often asked in the exam. Farmers first came into the UK in 6,000 years ago, and people learned to use bronze 4,000 years ago. And this Hadrian Wall, which is still visible in Fort of Housesteads and Windolanda, all the points I'm discussing now can come in the exam, and whatever the slide I showed, 3 to 4 questions you can expect in the exam. Just try to remember in the point I discussed in a very clever way. First coin to be minted in Britain, names of Iron Age kings. Highland clearance. There is an event used to call Highland clearance. Mainly Scottish landlords destroyed individual small farms known as crops to make space for large flock of sheep and cattle. Best preserved prehistoric village is Cara Bray in Orkney, Scotland. If the questions comes for England, it should be Lake District, England. But if you consider overall UK, it should be Skara Bray. There can be a question, best preserved prehistoric village in England. Then the answer should be Lake District. Don't get confused here. Brit Spirit, in 1940, German Air Force bombing London and other British cities during the World War II, and it's called Brit Spirit. And there is another thing in during this World War II happened when France fell. It started that when first German invaded Austria, this World War II started, and during this World War II, French fell, and British tried to evacuate 300K soldiers from the beaches around Dunkirk. In the history, it's called Dunkirk Spirit. United Nations set up after World War II. There can be a questions when United Nations set up. So the answer should be after World War II. Great Fire of London happened in 1666, where Sir Christopher Wren was an architect who rebuilt St. Paul's Cathedral Church. Beef eaters, they are the tour guide. They're the group of people who are actually tour guide in Tower of London, who tells about the history of that. Theatreland, it's in London West End and is not famous for theaters. Henry VIII has 6 wives. Anne Boleyn, mother of Elizabeth I, executed in Tower of London. There is a question comes that if an MP dies or resigns, what happens? The answer is by-election happens to elect a new representative. Cenotaph, which you can see if you go to Whitehall, London, it's designed by Sir Edwin Lutyens. Canvassing, whenever any people try to persuade others to vote for a political party, it's called canvassing. Hansard, it's basically a report of proceedings in parliament are broadcast on television. This used to call and published in newspaper also. It's called Hansard. William Caxton, he's the first person to print a book in a printing press. Fenians, these people favored complete independence for Ireland in UK, but due to some group of people, it didn't happen. And though it's called Fenians, there is another term that is famous in UK, that is troubles. So these people sometimes calls us troubles also. Okay, so that completes the full structured history and people breakdown and the theoretical part of entire life in UK. So everything here, whatever you have seen from the is from the official content, but now it's organized in a way that's easy to remember. If you understand this timeline, you can answer most exam questions confidently. So next videos, I will upload practice questions mock test. Now, if this helped you, like the video, subscribe, share with others preparing. Let's clear this exam together smartly, not by memorizing blindly. Best of luck for your exam. Thank you.